Back in open session. Agenda item 6, human resources, fire chief process.
Good evening, gentlemen and lady. I'm here. Hello, Commissioner Berger. Nice to see everyone. So I'm here today to present to you some of the information that you had requested from Human Resources in regards to opening an open and collaborative, competitive process for the top level fire chief position for South Keene Fire. And so we've been working very hard. My team and I together have been, compiling a lot of information. I did my best to sort of outline it for you. I know that you just got this information yesterday, so I'm here to sort of fill in any gaps. I know that some of you may have read the whole thing or maybe not read the whole thing. So I'd like to, for those of you that have read the whole thing, I hope that you will be willing to just kind of let me run through from top to bottom the outline, just to make sure that all of you have all the information and are able to make a collaborative and business-wise decision for this very, very important event that's about to unfold. Okay? So you were given an outline packet yesterday from Lori, and on the top of the packet was just an outline. So I'd just like to go through this outline, and the outline had numbers attached to it. These numbers had separate files that were also labeled and numbered in accordance with this outline. So Lori has printed and given you all a packet, as well as, I believe, emailed it to you. So I have a screen right here. I wasn't equipped to really do it on the big screen, but I do have the screen right here that I can go through each one of those articles with you one by one, and so that you can get all the information again, and if I can answer any questions. So, the number one item that was provided was an outline of the South Keene Fire Chief's job description. First and foremost, we need a job description before we go out and start recruiting for this very important position. We met with the board and the board chair and vice chair recently, and we did do some edits to this document, but now we've sent it out to the board as a whole so that you can review it. And so we also yesterday attached a copy of the Burien Fire Chief's job description, because we were asked to collect some job descriptions so that you could do a comparison between those. Since yesterday, I've been able to collect 8 more agency job descriptions, both in King County and Pierce County. I didn't have time to print them off for you today, but I'll be sure to get those emailed to you tonight. This is something that you will have time to review. You don't have to make a decision on this evening, but we ask that you review those and that you have until August 15th to make your edits, make your input, and then provide those to Lori. So we did collect 8 more agency job descriptions. A couple of things in the feedback that we requested when we collected these was we wanted to really find out from these agencies what their requirements were regarding, number one, education. What education level do you require of your top level fire chief? Also, residency requirements. Our job description had that you needed to live in the district in order to be the chief. And so we just wanted to sort of collaborate with other agencies, find out, well, what do you do? The job descriptions that you'll be getting from the 8 agencies, about half of them, four of the 8 that I collected require a 4-year bachelor's degree, and with a master's degree preferred or desired, as outlined. The other half actually did have less than a bachelor's degree requirement. And so that's what ours currently has right now. And so that's something that you can sort of gauge against each other. The agencies that do and do not require these jobs or these requirements of education, you can kind of review them for yourself and make that determination.
Which ones do not?
Ones that do not are Everett, Puget Sound Regional, Central Pierce, and West Pierce. They require less than a BA, and they all have like a combination of education and experience as a substitute for those degree requirements. The ones that do require a 4-year degree or above is Bellevue and Renton, Valley Regional, and Shoreline Fire. Let's see, Burien, the one I gave you last night, it really didn't even have anything listed there either way. It didn't have that they didn't really have education on there. I don't know if it's in the contract, maybe the personal services contract, but certainly in the job description. At least I didn't see it. Been going through a lot of them, so you can check for yourself.
That's for the existing chief who's retiring, however, he's been there a long time, so.
Is that right?
I presume that it's not
Oh,
for
is that-
the new chief,
I
is it
know.
the new chief, or was it written for the new chief, or?
I didn't see the date on but presently the one that was sent to us didn't have really anything listed
You
at
know
all.
when he's retired? Is he retired already, the chief?
No,
It's sometime this fall,
So it's
Yeah.
probably,
maybe September 1.
so that description probably is.
Yeah, I think I know who the chief is, and he has been there for a very long
Chief
time.
Mark.
Yeah, okay. He's been there quite a while.
Mary, what's your professional opinion about how it ought to be written?
Well, I think for myself and even my HR team, Nikki and Sharice, we kind of talked about it the other day with the board and vice chair. We feel that there should be at least a bachelor degree requirement for an incoming fire chief.
Because,
Just because I think it just shows, you know, just a real commitment, and that's not to say that you can't find somebody without a degree that has the equivalent experience, but I think that what it takes to get a 4-year degree, it just kind of stands apart, I think.
thank you.
One person I used to say was, why a high school degree? And it's really to show your next employer that you can learn. That you know the process of learning.
Right.
And what about the question of living within the district?
Yes.
Is there a state law on that or anything?
No, and really, there was one agency out of the 8 that has a requirement, and that was West Pierce. So our description says that you need to, West Pierce said required to maintain a residence within 15 minutes of district boundaries within a year of hire. It's kind of similar to ours, where it doesn't say 15 minutes, but it just says, I think, within the boundaries.
So Eric, you talked to Eric Quinn about this, and he said there is no statute.
I've not
There's
talked
no
to
case
Eric
law.
Quinn. But given that 8, including Bureau and then Burien included, so that would be 9, 8 of the 9 don't have a requirement, or at least it's not listed in their job description as being a requirement. But I also did solicit through email from those that responded with job descriptions, and all of them just within the narrative of their emails just said no, because that was a specific question. It was about, do you require them to live in the district? So again, no decision needs to be made on that. I will email you the rest of those job descriptions tonight. And please provide input to those and just direct those to Lori by the 15th of August if possible, and give you more time, you know, just let us know. Okay. Any questions about the job description? Okay, this was just the Burien fire sample on number 2. So now I'm going to go into just what an application for the district, you know, looks like. This is just a sample. It's what we use for our typical firefighters and everybody else. But I mean, applications typically collect the same information: your name, your address, your last employer. Do you have eligibility to work in the U.S.? You know, boilerplate application and education experience in that. What I wanted to really key in on is the supplemental questionnaire that we're recommending, my team is recommending that go out as a supplement to the application that the candidates would fill out. And there's 9 questions on here. And, you know, we know that a fire chief who's been in the fire service for 30 years or 10 years, 15 years, is going to come in with a lot of expertise and knowledge about operations and firefighting and whatnot. So what we want to know is what is their holistic knowledge and experience in all aspects of running a fire department. We just think that that's important. Again, this is something for you to look at. You can revise these, you can edit these however you like. We'll take any input that you have, but these are just some of the key questions that we want to ask, not only about fire suppression and operations, but what about, prevention, inspection, of course, fire prevention, emergency management services, working with your local communities and your governments during disasters, training and officer development, succession planning. These are things that should be very key in a leadership position.
Did we use these questions when we, when Al left,
Yes.
when we hired Vic? And, okay.
Yes, we use these questions for our internal process. But when looking back and looking at these and comparing them to other questions from other, like the agencies, it just felt like we just needed to dig a little bit deeper, because these questions can be used actually as a, kind of a screening tool when we get applications that are coming in for us. And I even talked to, one of the outside agencies that we're looking at to run the process, and just said that these could be screening questions. And particularly if you decide that you want to continue that practice of not requiring a full degree, if you want to know somebody's experience and knowledge, this could be, okay, this person may not have the education that you're looking for or that's desirable or preferred, but maybe they are a diamond in the rough, maybe they just have it, and you can use this as a tool sort of up front to assess that right off the bat.
Are there any other questions or subjects that we should ask about that's not in that list of them?
There is one here, so going down the list: training, officer development, public education, community affairs, the business operations and support, for HR and for finance, IT, fleet, facilities, logistics, we just put everything in there. They're a paint splatter of just everything that we do. Labor and management relations, what is your experience? What is your what experience and what have you done in terms of maintaining positive labor and management relations? Also, fire department funding and political action duties. Those are very, very important
What is
too.
political action duties?
Political action mainly is just, interacting with public officials, and particularly just, levies and funding measures, and getting information out there that, that the fire chief needs to give to the public and inform the public on.
I would urge you to use the word advocacy rather than action,
Very good.
because political action means something different.
Gotcha.
Different in the sense that it's,
Kind of new.
it does kind of sound like union activity.
Okay.
Thank you, Bill.
No, that's very good. We will certainly take that.
Often
under
it's called
advisement.
legislative advocacy, but you said
Legislative.
something broader than
Mhm.
legislative advocacy, so I guess political is okay, but political action is
Okay.
not what we do, that's what the unions do.
Okay. So yes, very
Although
good.
this person probably-
Legislative, political
It may very well be,
advocacy.
may very well be that these candidates have political action experience, but it would be, having been members of a firefighters.
Right, okay. And then just the last one is just other topics or experience relevant to the position that candidate can tell us about, something like, do you have anything else to add? What would you like to tell us about yourself and your experience? We can make this as broad or as condensed as you like. So I encourage you to just look at these questions and provide feedback on those as well.
One other quick comment on A, maybe it would be useful to say fire department and or district. Because we'll have people from municipal departments apply as well as districts. And funding, of course, is very different. District is just a city or county.
Very good. We're getting some good feedback already. Appreciate that.
It says 1/2 of a page for each area. I guess you could reduce the font down to 6 and stay within half a page. But,
That was just what was in there before. I mean, we can not even put that in there. Just tell us, you don't have to put any limitations.
That's a Word document, so they're gonna use, that's a template, right? So they do it, so it automatically space out the answers,
Right.
so.
Yeah, I mean, we can just remove that. They can just go on as long as they'd like.
One thing I like about the essay questions is that we can actually read the document to see how they correspond, you know, and stuff, rather than just checking the box and saying, oh yeah, I rode in the ladder company for 8 years and I did this and I did that. Little narrative there, and you kind of say, oh, okay, they can communicate.
Right, and stay on the topic too. I think that's
Right,
important. You know,
right.
stay on the topic. On those and.
Sentence structure, you know.
Right. Any
Spelling.
That is.
Well, the robots probably, yeah.
spell check? Spell check is your
Artificial
friend.
intelligence, we don't need to spell
Yeah.
anymore, right?
Yeah.
All right, any questions about the application, information and questionnaires? We'll take the political advocacy note and legislative and fire department and you said district or fire department?
Department and or
Department
district.
and or district, okay.
Yeah.
If you could, don't mind, yeah, okay, that's good. Okay.
If they come back with no district experience, then is that a disqualifier?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, that's what I said and or.
Oh, okay.
It's just, but if you only say department, does that rule out district?
Fire district, fire department.
I know we use the word interchangeably here, but
Mhm.
it really means a department of a larger organization,
Yeah.
right? District means something independent, separate from
Mhm.
another organization.
Maybe of comparable size or assessed value or something to, that way you,
I
should we look,
believe, yeah, there was something in either the announcement or the, job description that in lieu of education that they were to, experience and was in like a comparable size and structure as us, so I think that will be in there. We can tailor that and clarify exactly what we're looking for, drill it down.
Fire department, by adding the advocacy to the funding, we're really concerned more with that funding issue, aren't we? Do we really need to have that advocacy?
Yeah, I think
In
it
there.
was just clarifying that it's not political action, it's political advocacy. It's because you're not acting on behalf of one side or the other, you're just advocating for, you know,
talking to the city council,
Yes.
talking to state representatives and
Kind of
stuff like that on issues? There's some people who don't like to do that or don't want to do that, but
Yeah.
that's our bread and butter, you know, because what they do has a positive or a negative effect on us.
right. So it's all for the greater good, you know, not just for this side or that side. It's okay, what's going to be good for the department, good for the community, good for our workers. Any more questions on the?
It's just mixing those two together. Seems like an odd mix.
Separate them.
Have the,
Well, most of the advocacy probably would be around funding, but it wouldn't be exclusive to funding, would it?
Yeah,
I mean, there may, for example, the ban on fireworks has nothing to do with funding, and yet
does it have, see,
that's an important
Yeah.
political advocacy issue. But most of the time, it probably would be about funding.
maybe split them out, make them two.
Yeah. Yeah, why not split them?
Good.
God, we're problem solvers.
I agree with
You
Mark.
can solve all the problems, aren't you? All right, so now I'm just gonna go into, the recruitment, the process itself, and give you 3 options. 2 of them would be outside hiring an outside agency firm, and then one of them would be if we decided that, you know, if you decided that you wanted to just run it internally through the Human Resources Division. So the first one that I had provided the information is from Prothman. Now, I have not directly contacted Prothman, but I bring them up because Prothman was an agency that we used for the assistant chief position. And other than Commissioner Bedino, I think all of you were here for that process for the assistant chief. It was last fall.
She was here.
Were you here last fall? Okay, I guess you have been here. Okay, my apologies. So you were all here. So you're familiar a little bit, I think, with just kind of their standard, with their process. Of course, you know, there's benefits to Prothman that they are local. They are based here locally, and that they are highly recognized, highly used. I see their postings all the time. I mean, for our region and for the state. And so they're highly used, highly recognized, highly reputable. And so they are an option. And I think that, you know, their agreement here sort of spells out what their services are in terms of contacting, you know, putting together a package brochure, drawing in candidates, preparing them, and then interacting with you about, you know, about applicants and who's to screen in, who's screen out. So it's a pretty typical process that when you hire an outside agency that they'll do. And so there are services that, this was for the assistant chief's services agreement, which may likely change, I would think, for a fire chief. But what we, in terms of the fees that were charged, that we paid was $22,745. So that's what it costs to go through Prothman for that. And it's certainly an option for us, even though I haven't contacted them. They're certainly a reputable and good firm to use.
We only did that search in what, the western US?
I was not over that search. It was Director Lee and Lori were.
We did have a candidate from Arizona,
Mhm.
one from California.
Oh, from California, wasn't it?
You know, what, the final three, I think, one was from California,
Oh, finalist.
one was from Arizona, and then Dave from Kirkland.
Yeah, there was, I remember a couple of them. One, at least the three that were the finalists, I think one of them was from out of the area, maybe two of them were out of the area, I can't remember.
Mary, what I didn't see in this proposal is which consultant and what experience that consultant had in doing fire service recruitment, fire service executive recruitment.
Yeah.
I didn't see that in here.
For Prothman,
So I would expect to see, personally, would be essential to see who they're proposing. This is just the principal.
You're talking about Prothman?
Sonia Prothman. Yeah, it doesn't name which associate or principal is doing the recruitment, the lead doing the recruitment, and what that person's experience is in doing fire service executive recruitment. You know, what other departments, what other districts, and that's really important to see in my opinion.
Yeah, I will say that right now there's postings through Prothman for Lewis County. And I believe also in Burien, because we were talking about, I think that fire chief is retiring, so they have postings out for Burien. I mean, I see
I'm not talking
a lot
about
of
their outreach, I'm talking about who they use.
who they use.
The only person's name here that I saw, unless I'm overlooking something.
No, who'll be working with us?
Yeah, exactly. Was it Sonia Prothman?
No, it was,
person?
Warren
no.
Merritt.
It was Warren
Merritt.
And I think he was a retired battalion chief out of Eastside Fire. Or
He was
something
chief
like
of Bellevue.
Bellevue, okay.
So all I'm saying is if we solicit a proposal from Prothman, I would hope that would be, if it's him or somebody else in the firm, that they name that person who's going to be the lead and what their experience is that's related to our recruitment. That's all.
We knew that when we signed with Prothman,
Uh-huh.
when we talked to Prothman originally for the chief of ops, we knew Warren was going to be, and we had a list of what his accomplishments are and being the chief of Bellevue and all that type of stuff. Mary just provided the contract and what they did for, the advertisement they did for, Assistant Chief of Ops.
So you're probably familiar with their.
I don't see a contract, I see a cover letter.
Well, there's a fees, there's
Oh, I
a
see, that's a
scope of-
contract because it was signed, but it still, it doesn't name who that person is. And it's standard to include that in the proposal.
who they're going to be assigning.
Who the associate
Okay.
is and what their qualifications are. But apparently we got after the contract.
We had it
Separate.
before this was signed, when we first started talking to Prothman.
Okay.
So you're familiar with the look and the style of their brochure and their.
Or we're gonna change all the content of that, right?
Oh, sure, yeah, that was just a sample of, sort of the
Would you expect
style.
the fee and expenses to be similar, higher?
I wouldn't know, but I would, this is what was paid last year, and I would expect maybe 10-15% hike, I mean, at least. It just depends on what the scope of their search was. Was it a nationwide search, or was it just a maybe or more regional? If we're looking to go, definitely, I think, a nationwide search, or at least we talked about at least west of the Mississippi,
Yeah.
sort of like half the nation,
Yeah.
maybe west from that. So we can tailor it however. So I would imagine the further they have to go, the higher the fees, right?
The more outreach they do.
More outreach. Yeah, and again, I did contact them directly, but, it's still something I thought that there was enough, since you've all had experience with them before and had already gone through a process with them, that you were familiar with them, and then you can just sort of have that, and then look at the next one that we are going to be looking at, which is another product. So we had a referral from Commissioner Berger regarding a company called Mercer. So Mercer is a national recruiting firm, and they did provide a lot of information about who would be assigned to be the key head recruiting agent for the South King Fire process. And his name is Mike Letcher. And so Mike Letcher is his bio, we have the agreement from them, or the proposal, I should say. And we also have a bio that was in your packet of Mike Letcher particularly. Mike lives in Tucson, Arizona, and he owns and operates his own consulting firm named Bridge Group. So Mercer has, they're a nationwide company, so of course they've got consultants and agents throughout the nation, I would presume, but Mike is the one that was chosen key for a fire service, fire chief related position. The benefits, of course, with Mercer is that, if you read his bio, Mike Letcher, he has over 30 years working as a top level city manager for cities of all sizes and assessed valuations. So, and also he was an instructor for 10 years at the National Fire Academy in Emmitsburg, Maryland. So he's interacted a lot with fire chiefs, fire officers. His area of expertise when he was teaching was in local government structures, because he was a city manager. Okay, what's the role when you're a fire chief in a city, a municipality? What's your role, and how do you need to engage and interact with your city officials and, create emergency plans? This is your role, and this is the role of them. So he's very well versed in that, and I think he would speak everybody's language here. In terms of what you're looking for. Pardon me?
Any idea how old he is?
I don't know how old he is, but he's, his picture is on the bio, so if you look at that, you might be able to assess on your own.
How many years of experience does he say in his resume?
Yeah, over 30 years experience
Yeah.
as a city manager. He is retired and now he runs his own consulting firm.
We had 30 years doing that, and then if he,
I think
Yeah.
in cooperation with that, he's also a professor at, I believe, the University of Arizona. who teaches there, as well as he has his own consulting firm through the Bridge Group.
I noticed on Mercer's page 17, they said positions recruited for the city of Bellevue, and it included fire chief.
Right. So he's recruited and placed several executive positions, notably the city of Bellevue, that he placed their fire and their police chief. He's also placed fire chiefs in Spokane and surrounding areas. I did obtain references. I noted here that they were enclosed, but I forgot to enclose them in paper form, but I did just email you all the references that we received from Joy St. Germain. She's the HR director for the city of Bellevue. I asked them some key pointed questions about Mercer and about particularly Mike Letcher and what their experiences were. Joy St. Germain and also Nathan McCommon is the deputy city manager for Bellevue. And both of them responded very, very graciously and stated very high regards for Mike Letcher, particularly working with the Mercer Group. So you'll be able to see their recommendations in your inbox, in your email when you get that.
Any idea how long ago he helped find that fire chief?
3,
Police chief?
4 years.
3, 4 years?
Yeah. Just for the other board members, I referred the Mercer Group to Mary only because I know that they're a national recruitment firm in the sense that they have consultants on the West Coast, on the East Coast, and across the nation. I don't believe I used the Mercer Group at any point when I was a city manager. Maybe I did many years ago, but obviously staff turned over, and I don't have any connection to the firm nor to, I've never even heard of, much less met this fellow, Mike, what'd you say? his
Yeah,
name?
Mike Letcher. His bio is in your packet. He's
So that's
pictured
why I
here.
referred to the firm, because we talked about a national recruiter. And, you know, if the firm is local, that's, as Mary said, that's an advantage because they're local and therefore they're not going to charge for travel. On the other hand, what contacts do they have across, you know, outside our region, outside our state?
Correct.
So it's sort of a plus and minus in terms of a local firm that doesn't have recruiters across the country or elsewhere outside the region versus a firm that does, but charges for travel here, for example.
Yeah, that's one of the things I noted in the outline, but Mike has, I've spoken to him, very eloquent, very nice gentleman, very interested and engaged, and would just love to come on board and be part of this, and has great references. The other information about it is that they're not local. He's not local. He's in Tucson, Arizona. So unlike Kaufman, most of your interactions with him will be virtual over Zoom. And meetings will probably mostly be virtual, and he'll do virtual, you know, connections with the candidates, of course. He can travel, and that would be an additional fee, and you'll see that in the fee structure. So it outlines their fee structure, and then if you needed to travel, of course, we'd have to add that to it. So it would be an added expense. I also advised Mike that the format of our process is going to be an open, public, transparent meeting with these candidates. They're going to come here. They're going to be, you know, videoed. It's going to be open to the public. It's going to be open to our employees. Everybody is going to be, you know, be able to see and meet or see the candidates. So this is something he's not worked on in that format before, but understands and could adapt, you know, either way. And so again, a profile of Mike is in your packet, and the page 14 of the proposal has their fee structure right here. So a little more pricey. Yeah, I'm just thinking.
Well, we don't know what Kaufman's cost is because we don't have it.
Right. But I'm just saying in relation to what we did pay Kaufman, this is more, but again, it's a nationwide search, and whether we want to scale it down to just be half the nation or West Mississippi, I mean, there could be adjustments. And some of these that he noted here, you'll have like the option 1, option 2. The only differences really between these options are that they would have to, you know, come up with a brochure, develop a brochure. He provided a sample brochure, the one that he did for City of Bellevue Fire Chief. It's a very professional, kind of landscaped brochure with all the information. And I can bring that up for you as well. So if he doesn't create the brochure, that could save some money. If we develop something like that in-house. Also advertising. He does a lot of his kind of direct recruitment through like LinkedIn and through a lot of these professional resume kind of platforms where people post their resumes. He has a lot of like real direct, he just has connections everywhere, and he can call, you know, he's kind of got, and people call him too, you know, if they're looking for something. So he's very connected. And so advertising and a brochure would save us about $5,000. If we decided to just do our own advertising, he did more of the direct recruiting. So we could do a blend of duties between him and HR, and be able to shave a little bit of cost off there. So, so again, he gave sort of a fee, proposed fee of about $32,000 if there was, you know, if they did everything, the brochure, the advertising, and this is nationwide again, or $27,000 if we were to shave off the brochure and the advertising. I just want to show really quickly.
Where would, if we did the advertising, or I mean, you know, and he does direct contact stuff, where would we advertise?
I think our typical advertising would be, you know, the Daily Dispatch. We would run Daily Dispatch, we could run that through nationwide or regional, select the different regions. We can look at any kind of fire service publications, and we can also do a social media campaign as well. And I'll go into that when I sort of bring up, you know, the internal capabilities that we have through my team in HR. But anywhere and everywhere, I think that that has anything to do with fire service, we would be all over that, trying to, you know, find a means to at least get connected and get it through. But most of the recruitment and advertising really could just be social media and outreach and getting our employees. I mean, our employees are great recruitment sources. If they say, hey, you know, we've got an opening and we think you'd be great. I mean, we welcome everybody to, you know, to go out and recruit and bring in great candidates. So this is, again, there's just a copy of their, you know, their brochure. And I like, you know, it's very colorful. It's landscape as opposed to portrait. Shows pictures of Bellevue. What I like about these, they show really nice pictures. History of the department, the ideal candidate. So education, experience, how to apply, you know, steer there. So anyway.
Change the name.
Mary, does the Western Fire Chief Association still do the monthly magazine? Do you know? Or does anybody know?
It's through Daily Dispatch, basically. You have to be a member, you know, and I don't know what they would charge to put it in on their website, but.
Do they still do a periodical, Western
Yeah.
Chiefs?
Yeah, it's through the International Fire Chiefs.
And how many states does that reach? I don't remember.
It's the Western,
All Western states?
yeah, Western states.
Well, there's
To
also
answer
the
Bill's question, I think.
IAFC.
Want to advertise with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything about the international fire chiefs too. I mean, going through them and commissioner sites. I mean, we could be posting it really anywhere and just putting it out there.
Yeah, maybe one of the commissioners will recommend fill out an application.
Can you pass one of these? Keep one and pass one down. if you don't mind. I think that there's
Actually,
another.
go on their website. This is what's the chief's here.
Thank you.
Fire service jobs. Oh, sorry.
All right, so any more questions about Mercer? Okay.
Yeah, there's the division list, so we'd be interested in these. I think that makes sense, what you guys were talking about the Western stuff. Unlikely we're gonna get some there on.
Well, they do things so differently back then in some respects, funding and all that.
The politics are also very,
Yeah.
they're less professional than the ones. There'll be people who apply from the east.
So what I've provided you is sort of our internal process if we were to say, we can just do it all internally. And so another option is just recruiting and launching our own process and develop our own recruitment application materials, advertise, again, through social media, through fire service publications. In yesterday's packet, I enclosed a copy of what a draft of some of the work that Sharice and Nikki are doing right now for us, for the district. And so this is a draft makeup of what a internal South King Fire brochure could look like. If we go to an outside agency, of course, they'd have to create one and put all the information together. So this has, it's a very kind of a bold colored look and has a lot of, just lots of bright colors and borders to it. All the photos are of South King Fire, firefighters in action. So it's pretty exciting. And so pretty much just mirrors, a lot of what the other brochures have. There's a whole about us, who we are, and what our community makeup looks like. Who our IAFF local is, and all the communities that we serve. There are steeped in cultural diversity, natural beauty, home to lush gardens, forestry, public beaches, fishing piers. So it just really talks about our community and the great things about our community and how we strive for excellence and set the highest standards in all that we do. I love that we've got this picture of the boat on there, the New Zenith boat. And so again, it talks about, our region. And then a lot of these things about the position are just sort of taken from the job description. These are still in draft form because we still know we need to complete the job description. So these are items that just describe the position and what the overall arching responsibilities are. And the desired competency is again taken right from the job description, and managing people and managing programs, managing projects, and then the qualifications here that you're going to be looking at. It does talk about now a bachelor's degree or higher, and preferred master's degree and other credentials too that are acquired through fire service leadership courses. And then again, years of experience in education. Here it is, it says within a comparable fire district or fire department, experience progressive leadership within a comparable fire department. I knew it was somewhere. So there it is. And could be substituted for a bachelor degree under the guidance of the board of commissioners. So again, that's something that you'll have to be looking at and deciding on at some point. So this is just a sample of the internal work that we can do. There's the application and hiring process, the deadlines, completed applications, salary and benefits. I mean, everything can just be posted, and they can, again, the next steps, where to go, how to apply. If we partner with Mercer, just saying if we do, then, this would be information that would be funneled. Okay, we could still have our own brochure, but we can be sending it to them, or we could just be sending it to us. We have the capability within the team. So again, the designs and graphics of, there's a lot of current announcements that are going out. This is just a sample of one. What I gave you now, what I just handed to you, was another kind of style of a brochure. This is actually posted live right now, so it's a little different look than this one. It's our division chief of EMS. It's a little bit lighter, it has a little bit different color, different style, but again, Sharice and Nikki, they're very creative. Sharice is a designer. She has, she's done a lot of design work. And Nikki's very, very good too with designing.
I use that picture of the 8 cars here on the division chief one,
It's a nice
rather
picture.
than this firefighting one.
Yeah, well, right, that's already posted, but yeah, very good input for that.
Change it.
Barry, when you talked to, I forgot his name again,
Michael Letcher.
Lesher from Mercer Group, I'm trying to find the fee proposal.
This is on page 14
Yeah.
of the, okay.
I just found it, thank you. It says brochure development and layout, $2,000. In your conversation with him, did you discuss the possibility of your staff creating the brochure with input from?
Yes, and he is willing to do that.
But where would the cost be for that input?
He wouldn't really charge for that. It didn't sound like to me. If we did the brochure, he would, we would show it to him. He could sort of tweak it or give us ideas on things, but he would not be touching it or doing it. He would just be giving us a little bit of.
Well, but in terms of the substance, he would provide his opinion regarding substance, qualifications, particular attributes that we're looking for. In other words, he'd review your draft and provide comments on it
Yes,
as part of the fee proposal outside of the $2,000 for brochure development.
yes,
Okay.
yes. And again, I mean, that could be a partnership with him, or, again, like I just want to advocate for my team, just how creative and how talented they are. We've got the EMS chief brochure that's posted live now. This what I showed you right now is also posted live right now. This is social media posts with QR codes. Everything's very electronic. We've worked with the finance division and Kelsey Barrett for the last year, implementing our new payroll and HRIS program called UKG. We are set up right now completely electronic for advertise, or for, I should say, for posting jobs and to manage electronic applications that come into us, intakes, and this system will also help us sort through and sift through candidates. It has automated types of responses to the candidates so we can keep them up to date on the progress and the process. And we can set up interview schedules. And so I think, that was just a consideration. If we did it internally, these are the tools and the talent that we have just within my own team. So just wanted to give a shout out to them. They're great.
Do you know whether this Bellevue brochure was prepared by the city or by the Mercer Group?
The Mercer Group. Yes, they emailed it to me. So that's kind of the spiel for doing an internal process. There are capabilities and talent, and we could do it. Or if Mercer's chosen, there could be a blending between them and us. We can partner and maybe cut down some of the costs. And again, this is like a nationwide search that they proposed. And if we're looking, okay, maybe we just want, like you say, west of Mississippi, the Northwest, or the Midwest sections of the United States.
So with your team developing the division, the EMS chief's brochure, how much did that cost to do that?
I mean, we have a program and it's called Canva. So it's just a software program that we have, and it's just the cost that we would just pay in there, that we would be paying.
Staff time.
Staff time, yeah, that's all.
About how many?
And how, about I don't know what the cost of the software is, but it's also software that's used by Brad Cheney in Community Affairs. So when he creates some of those really nice, lovely postings for the reader boards, those are created in Canva.
So how much time do you think they spent developing that brochure?
I mean, a lot of it was kind of cut and paste from the, I don't know the exact amount of time, but I mean, it wasn't there's not far to go to search for material. I mean, a lot of the things were, we tailored the job description. We did a little bit of change before we, put it out. So a lot of it was content that was in development, already developed, a little bit tweaked. And it's just, I've seen her work with it. It's just a lot of like boxes that you create. You can size them up, size them down, put your content in. It's just like working probably with a Word doc, but only on steroids in terms of creativeness and color and designs. And they have a lot of different templates that are already set up that you can just, kind of just start plugging into. So for with Sharice and Nikki, it didn't take them very long. I can say that. They're very, very savvy with this. And also social media. I mean, those are social media posts. They're very, they're very savvy with posting things anywhere and everywhere.
Now, do we have a posting out there for lateral?
The lateral was out there, yes. It was out there, the lateral firefighter.
Okay. But on the EMS, now this is the second go around for the EMS chief, right? Did we do something? Did you do something for the first one?
I don't recall that we did not have a brochure for that one, so.
Okay.
And so I think that these have been created since that.
Okay.
As far as the timeline of the process, Mercer says, placement within 120 days. So with preparations being completed in August, recruiting starting in September, and with a selection and hiring a candidate by December or within December. So, and I expect that would be the same timeline for whether we did it, with Prothman or whether we did it internally. I would expect that's about the same timeline. And their timeline is also is posted in their brochure. So,
Does Mercer Group have the standard provision that if the board doesn't find a candidate that it wishes to select, that they do it again?
I think I'd have to double
I
check.
read this so quickly that I.
Yeah, and there's a guarantees on page 21. Let's take a look.
21 of their proposal.
Oh, don't you know it? There's no page 21. Maybe it's a different page. And on mine, it ends at page 17.
On page 17.
Well, no, I say, it says in the table of contents, page 21 for guarantee, and my last page is 17, so you can check on that. I mean, it's probably pretty standard. I would think if you're paying that kind of money and somebody would have to be placed with, and then if something happens within, a 6-month period of time, I think that would be a pretty standard guarantee.
I just don't know.
So, and they have one, it just cut off after page 17.
If we go with Mercer, if they get 20 applicants, are they going to sort them out and determine who the finalists are going to be, or will that be your department?
So they will give us access to a portal, like we have a UKG portal, and I'll give an example. Our EMS chief applications are coming in, and our chiefs, Chief Van Valkenburg and Chief Matapton, they can just log in and view all the candidates. It's going to be a similar type of process that Mercer would give us access to their portal where they're collecting candidates and applications, and we can view them just as they're coming in. So we would have access to and be able to view every candidate.
But I think Bill's asking, who's primarily responsible for the screening, the initial screening? Would it be Mercer, the Mercer's consultant, or you?
It would be Mercer. So Mercer will take, and I think that's where that initial survey, like we could use the initial questionnaire, supplemental questionnaire, they'll be watching and viewing those candidates coming in, kind of probably attaching a score to them, because they're going to screen some out, but you can still look at them and overrule. I mean, okay, well, maybe we want to look at this person. Okay, they'll just add them back in. So it's not as if you're not going to see everybody. You can be as engaged and as, as involved and participative in viewing candidates as you like, or you can leave it up to them.
And their service includes reviewing those orally with the board? We give them
Yes,
materials?
I mean,
and
yes.
they meet- That consultant would meet with us,
Right, and like I
probably
said,
virtually. but
he's
meet with us.
probably virtually, so we'd have to, set up a meeting like this, would have to be set up to where, it's a public meeting and go through, or however you choose, or if it falls under an RCW where you're evaluating candidates, for the job, I don't know. It could fall under an executive session, but you'd have to, evaluate that. But yes, you can look at all the candidates, even on your own. I mean, if you had just on your own access, you would be able to log in and view them just at the comfort of your easy chairs at home and on your laptop. So, and provide input. So it doesn't have to be a meeting. You can view them all, and then he'll just forward, funnel through Lori. He'll just forward, information, and maybe, okay, I took a look at these, and these look good. These don't meet, or this one does. Again, and depending on the education piece, I think that would be a real screening thing where, okay, you're saying that without education, you've got all the bells and whistles that we're looking for. So what does your questionnaire say? Well, at least to get that first step in the door. So but they would be available to us for that.
The guarantees on page 16.
Oh, page 16?
Yep, bottom of the page.
Okay.
Looked up, I'm sorry.
Okay, so their table of contents was a little outdated, I think, but that's okay.
It said they will keep working until the placement is made, and if the selected candidate leaves your employment within the first 2 years for cause, they will redo the search for expenses only.
So it's both on the front end and back end of those, so.
Oh, there it is. So, and you'll see also, you were asking about, positions recruited for on the next page, 17, highlights. We've done a lot for the city of Bellevue. Lots of, fire, police, public safety, and as well as in Spokane is another area that they placed executive.
Is, do we feel the need to want to get on a Zoom call with this Mike and sort of talk with him before we make a decision? Do we need to do that?
I think that'd be valuable, but before that, the question is, in my mind, do we want to make it more of an apples to apples comparison by asking Providence for a proposal with who they would name as the lead and what that person's experience is in recruiting at least, fire service executives, if not fire chiefs specifically, in the Western United States, so that we have some comparison. And if they're motivated, they'll turn that around quickly, I would think, just as they probably did last year, for operations chief. That's my suggestion. And then make a preliminary decision and who you want to talk to before the finals.
I think one of the things we need to make sure is that we're consistent in the advertising, and I'm leaning more toward a fire district executive, fire chief / executive, or executive fire chief. Something to emphasize. We need the leadership part of it, not from the executive to the executive level versus somebody who can put out fires.
Fire chief, CEO.
Yep.
That's what I would suggest, Mr. Chairman, that we at least get a second proposal. Unless there's some reason why you wouldn't want to solicit one from Providence. I'm not aware of any reason not to. Find firms and we use them, others we use this. we don't know what their proposal would be, so.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I didn't,
It's
give them.
That's really a lot of
We
time.
got time.
Could
We
they-
do an outreach tomorrow.
Could they, I would hope we could have it for our regular meeting this month.
You should be able to put that
You
together.
spent all the time going through this today, it's just a question of looking at one more proposal and do that apples and apples comparisons. Are you clear on what we're looking for, though?
Yes.
It's gotta be the person they're gonna do the
Okay.
recruitment, not just the owner of the firm.
Yeah, just not, yeah.
Not just
I
Ms. Prothman, and what their experience would be, who they recruited from. It's the same kind of information that Mercer gave on their principal, excuse me, on their associate, I'm not sure what they call it. Partner. whatever.
Partners, yeah, they're
Mr.
they're
Lester.
associate consulting firms that they work with, so.
And if
Just so
she,
we have something. there.
and if she doesn't produce that, Prothman doesn't produce it, then they're out.
Yeah, they should be able to turn it around.
Sure, I think so. I just haven't had time to really reach out and connect with them. And I wasn't in the last process, but I figured, okay, you're familiar with it enough to where, you know what to expect. And then, so I mainly wanted to look at the new one that is being proposed.
And emphasize to them the area we're looking. The Western United States, so that they know how broad an outreach we're looking for. Because that's gonna have an impact on their cost proposal. It's not just in state, that we're looking beyond the state.
Are we doing Western, or is there any interest in national?
Western Mississippi. That's how you do it.
You know, Caroline, in my experience, it's such a long distance to relocate. It's such a cultural change to come from one side of the country to the western, the western part of the country, particularly the Pacific Coast. All of the department heads I hired, including fire chiefs and police chiefs, I never hired anybody east in Mississippi. It just doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
It's a huge cultural change.
And Mike had mentioned too that he would look at our size and our cost of living and things, and he would go out to like similar areas and regions within the United States. So even if, if we like cut the line here and only here, there might be something out there that he could recommend to say, hey, well, let's go take a look at, this area.
But it'd probably be a unique individual that has a connection to the Northwest, wants to get back to the Northwest, or some kind of connection probably. A really top-notch person that perhaps the consultant has run across before, who's capable and willing to make a major lifestyle.
Or somebody,
Well,
you know,
what I
wants to
saw,
retire.
yeah, I think that this would
It'd be
be,
kind of an unusual.
But they use a sailboat.
Yeah.
Well, that was my line.
this would be a fantastic opportunity, I think,
Yeah, it would.
for anybody that, lives in those areas that maybe, they're great. But just the salary levels are so different between,
Compensation is very different. That's
Yes.
right. The cost of housing alone is dramatically different here versus most other places in the country. In the South, it's much cheaper, except in the major cities.
yeah.
It's just not realistic.
So we'll get to you, our thoughts on the job description by, the 15th. And then at our regular meeting in August, we'll take a look at the, proposal from Prothman.
All right. I'll get
Compare
in touch
that.
with you tomorrow.
And we'll make a decision hopefully that evening as to what we're doing there. And then there was a question of, is there still a question of education?
Yeah, just in your job description, review, I'll send you this outline I'll send you all 8 job descriptions, but I've narrowed it down to just basically who requires at least a bachelor or not, and none of them except us and West Pierce, have a residency requirement within the district. There was one other, I can't remember which one it was. It wasn't the top level fire chief, but their duty chiefs, I think that their battalion chiefs, there was a requirement for them to live in the district. They said duty
Mary,
chief.
please do touch base with Eric Quinn about that.
Sure.
There probably is some state law.
I will. All right, and then also the questionnaire, the supplemental questionnaire, I've taken note of your recommended changes in the political advocacy and kind of dividing it out between that and if you don't mind shooting me a little note, just so that I'm very clear on that, just by the 15th.
We'll divide that into advocacy is separate from funding.
From funding, yeah.
Anything else tonight?
Anything else?
Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you for your.
Very
efforts.
welcome.
Good job.
Very good job.
Are we adjourned?
Any other comments, questions?
Did you get you, Fred?
We are adjourned.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.